Between July 17th and 20th, almost a year's rainfall fell in 3 days on Zhengzhou, the capital of China's Henan province. Within 18 hours, the official meteorological agency issued 5 red alerts. However, the city authorities did not follow their own guidelines for extreme weather by not shutting down schools and businesses in preparation for flooding. Meanwhile, the heavy rain inundated the nearby reservoirs. Several were overflowing. At 10:30 a.m. on July 20th, the Changzhou Reservoir, with an elevation 53 meters or 175 feet above the Zhenzhou city and just 6 kilometers or 3.7 miles away from downtown, began discharging water. 5 other reservoirs were also discharging, but Zhenzhou citizens were not notified. The authorities issued the announcement on the following day, after the water had already caused havoc and turned deadly. Hello, I'm Lei. Welcome to Lei's Real Talk. Wang Weiluo, a Chinese hydraulic expert living in Germany, pointed out that based on official Chinese data, the peak flow of the flood waters on July 21st was 600 cubic meters per second, while the discharge from the reservoir the night before was 525 cubic meters per second. That means that the bulk of the flood, over 80% of the water, was a man-made flood released from the reservoir. On July 20th, the water in the streets of Zhenzhou was almost waist-high in the afternoon, but subways kept running until a train was forced to stop due to the flood. Over 500 commuters on the number 5 subway line were trapped in darkness for over 2.5 hours. They stood in water as high as their chest until rescued. However, the deadliest place was the Beijing-Guangzhou Express Tunnel that passes through downtown Zhenzhou. The tunnel is a 6-lane, 2-way expressway that's nearly 5 kilometers long. It's a major traffic artery for the city. What you are looking at right now is the tunnel before the flood. According to an interview published in the state-run Chinese media, Hou Wenchao escaped the tunnel before it flooded. There was no water when he first drove into the tunnel, but then he got stuck for over an hour and cars were not moving. He said, "At around 5:40 in the afternoon, I answered a call. The call lasted about 3 to 5 minutes. When I hung up, I suddenly found that the surrounding water started to rise, and the water level had risen to cover 2/3 of the wheels." Hou decided to abandon his car. This is the video he took while telling people to get out. He said in the interview, "When I got to the top of the tunnel, I looked back and saw that the flood had already reached the roof of many cars. I couldn't see my car at all. From the time I was telling people to get out, it was only about 20 minutes." Hou is now celebrated by official Chinese media as a hero. His experience, however, debunked the official rhetoric that blamed the extreme weather. No matter how heavy the rain is, it's impossible to submerge an entire tunnel that's 4 to 5 kilometers long within 20 minutes. Another survivor, Mr. Wu Qiang, told of his life and death experience in the tunnel.
我们准备从出口出的时候出不去，前面车就堵死了。有这么一点水，很浅很浅的，一点点就这么宽一点往下流，顺着隧道边西边往下流，一条那个地漏一样的水下去就流进去，下去流进去了。我们想着还没有事，结果那水就越来越大，越来越大。我印象当中，我觉得10分钟也没有，水大概都有这么深了，水大概能有20公分了，然后就是越上越快，越上越快，越上越快。 那时候已经就感觉到危险了，感觉到危险的时候，我们就从这个就把车天窗打开了，打开了我们就爬到天窗上。当时我们商量的是什么呢？3个人，我和司机就同意让我的年金先走，他先走，他快出去没出去的时候，司机让我再走，他说你也走，你们俩孩子都很小，你先走，我那不行。 我把你丢下来，你说，咱说实话，这算啥，对吧？你不会游泳，我说跟你一放着，你更怕。反正我跳下去，头顶是在水里的，我没想到那么深。结果一跳下去的时候，我根本脚都到不了地，又爬上车， 我是1.75米、1.76米那样，我想那水最少应该都在2米了已经。
Mr. Wu saw that his brother-in-law was losing strength and choked in water. He called out to him once in a while to make sure he was still there. The brother tried to grab the wall with his hands but couldn't. Eventually, he got hold of a pipe and was not washed away.
他就在离洞口还有几米远的时候，他就一直向上面的人群呼救嘛，就是救命啊，就喊3个字救命啊，救命啊，就一直喊，我就别喊了，保存体力。车先是来回飘，一回飘到西边，一回飘到中间，然后这车头一步一步往下沉，大灯自己都打开了，后备箱又自动打开了。自动一弹开以后的水灌的就快了，蹭一下把后备箱灌进去，车就上去了。那时候我们也就刚好抓着那个桥架了。后来我们就3个互相鼓励，等于前面一个人把不会游的放在中间，我在最后就让我们一步一步的这样，就这样手捞着这样子。每抓一步手还要稍微试一下结实不结实，你抓滑了或者抓断了，或者东西坚持不住一个人，差点就没了，人直接就冲里边去了。
A woman captured their final escape from the tunnel on video. Here it is.
我这里头有个人，你看，哇！我天呀！咦，那里边从车里跑出来了，那是。里边还有人呢，危险呀！咋办呀？咋去救救他呀？
钻出来以后，刚好他那个上面有一根管子，我们是抓住那个，如果没那个也不行了。后来就那一根管子，就我们出来以后就2、3分钟就给它填满了。我觉得1个小时可能都不到，个把小时，整个关满，就那么快。哎呀，想想都恐怖，太恐怖了。你真不知道死亡来临的时候，人是多么的恐慌。
Mr. Ho, Mr. Wu, his brother, and the driver were fortunate since they were near either the tunnel's entrance or exit, and they came out alive. The vast majority of the people in their cars in the tunnel, however, did not. After the flood subsided, a large number of vehicles that were swept away piled up outside the tunnel. At the time this video was filmed, the official state media reported 57 total casualties. One driver who was involved in the cleanup work inside the tunnel said that the authorities already found 6,300 dead bodies, and the number wasn't final as the cleanup work was continuing. The social media post said the person who released the info could no longer continue his work, and the police confiscated his cell phone before he left. I have no way of verifying this information, but I calculated based on the length of the tunnel and the fact that the 6-lane tunnel was jammed bumper to bumper. Assuming the car were 8 meters or 25 feet apart, there should have been between 1,500 and 3,000 cars inside the tunnel. Assuming that, on average, more than one person was in a car given China's high population, the casualties should be in the thousands. The Beijing-Guangzhou tunnel cleanup work has been entirely taken over by the military. The state media, China Youth Daily, reported that officers and soldiers of the 83rd Army of the Chinese Communist Party were deployed. As people who lost family members gathered outside the tunnel, they were violently chased away by security personnel. The regime avoided sending away warning about the flood beforehand, but it's now sending representatives to visit each house in the neighborhood near the tunnel to tell people not to accept interviews from foreign media. There is heavy security near the tunnel preventing people from taking photos. Social media posts are monitored and some were removed. At one point, the internet was down. Family members of those who perished inside the tunnel probably won't be able to see the body of their loved ones, because the real casualties of the flood are a state secret now, just like the number of people who died in Wuhan last year is. The worst is that they will never find out what exactly happened to their loved ones. Many gathered in nearby streets to burn paper, a traditional Chinese ritual to commemorate the deceased. I'll keep you updated on the situation. See you next time.